James David Writing III here to bring you a quick tutorial. So I've been using Igniter since I bought it on almost every project that I have involving vehicles, and even some that don't involve vehicles. But usually I get asked how to do boring things like car idles or slow cars and stuff like that, because people always think of Igniter as being for, like, you know, the supercar speeding around corners and super high RPMs. Well, I use it for almost every project, and I don't always have a race or chase scene in them. So let's take a look at this simple scene just showing simple car idling in the woods, guy walking around it. We cut interior, we cut back exterior, and then we'll cut back again interior, and we're just gonna have it running. Little idling going on in the background. As you can see, I have Igniter set up here on an instrument track, and I'm starting with the clean start setting just so that there's nothing already loaded in here. I don't actually need anything in the modulations right now. We can go through and clear those out at the moment. And the great thing is that we can put in what we want when we need it. So the car looked like a pretty simple sedan of some sort. So we need a fairly boring type thing. Let's go to the granular library, and you can see we have Aston Martin, Audis, Ferraris, Ford F-150. Have a nice simple Civic. Let's just go ahead and grab the Civic right now. Go ahead and hit engine to start it up. And already 0 RPMs, it's kind of idling sitting there. We can go ahead and change the shuffle depth and change the crossfades to make it a little smoother. Great, we could just call it a day there and just let that be our engine idle. But another thing that I like to do is add in an extra layer on my cars. Now, this is something I do constantly with all sound effects, right? I always put on multiple layers to make them a little more dynamic. In Igniter, we can do that itself with the loop function. And if we turn off the granular and we just do a search for idle, we'll come across all these different idles that are loaded into. I have the full tank version of Igniter. So if you don't have all of these, maybe it might be worth for you to go check out the full tank version. We have all these different things that have idle somehow in their name. And since we already have a Honda Civic, let's just go ahead and stay with the Honda Civic. And we can grab, say, this one. Let's go ahead and drag that into loop position number 1. And then we can highlight the area that we want it. And if we just solo our loops, just so that we can hear what's going on, start it up. Sounding pretty good. We could slow down the speed of it, give it a little more character. Let's add in our granular engine again. Get a nice balance there. And there we go. We have a nice complex little engine sound going. Now, of course, in this scene, we jump in and out of the exterior and interior of the car, and we can do all that with our Igniter. One of the ways that we can do it is by adding an EQ to our master. And from that EQ, we can add a low pass. Say something like that. There we go. We can do our interior that way. We can even add a second node if we wanted to get rid of some of the weird resonance that's happening. Now we just have to set it up to change our frequency of our EQ. So let's go to our Pro Tools window and automate that. Let's automate our Igniter. And I already set it up so that's just the effects rack 6, frequency gain of 1 and 2. We're just going to change the frequency of 1 to start with. And for this, we just need to go through and find our points of when we cut interior and exterior. There. To there. Grab this and pull it down. The next one. There. To there. Pull it down. Pretty cool. Now we can just add in our volume for when we fade up and when we cut out. And here's our scene. Now, of course, that's only part of the scene. That's just the car. We can do more with Krotos stuff. Let's go ahead and add another stereo instrument track. We're going to call this Footsteps. And on this, we're going to put our trusty instrument of Weaponiser. Yes, folks, it is more than just guns. Go under factory presets and go to Footsteps, leather shoes, do a little heel toe, and then we can just hit our fire button. Pretty good stuff there for that. One other thing I like to do every once in a while for my Foleys is throw on another Krotos tool, Reformer Pro. And in here, I like to switch things up and add a little extra texture. Grass rustle, load that up, and here we will do jacket Foley and shoes on leaves of twigs, and then knocking down our wet dry a little bit, triggering our Weaponiser. It adds a nice extra texture to our footsteps. Now we can either perform this as we play our video, or we can type in MIDI notes and put them perfectly in sync. Let's turn off our car for a second here. Beautiful. Excellent. Now, of course, you'd be like, well, James, of course we all know we can use Weaponiser for our footsteps, and that's great. I'm glad that you know that already. So we got a new tool from Krotos that's coming out, and you can grab yourself a intro version of it now from their website. And if we add one more instrument track, and we'll call this one BGs. What could I be going for here? Let's go ahead and add a new instrument. And we're going to use Krotos Studio. And the free version comes with a bunch of pre-installed backgrounds. Going to lower our ambience here, and we can pick our preset, and we can mix and match how we need it to go. So we could say there's a little stream there and some wind, and we can pick the right balance. We can even bring it down a little bit more, which we can also do in Pro Tools automation, everything else. And now if we play our scene, and there you have it, how you can quickly do a scene just using Krotos tools, Igniter, Weaponiser, Reformer Pro, and the new Krotos Studio.